day 8 of this 3-month Japanese challenge, and I've got something interesting to talk about today. I was reading the comment section, and there was a person that suggested that I must know some language, or that my native language must be related to Japanese, and that's the only explanation, or that's a possible explanation why uh, I'm learning so fast. And my native language is not related to Japanese or any other language really, because it's an isolated language that's not part of any major language family. It's I don't know if pre-Indo-European, but it's definitely not Indo-European, and it's not related to, even if it's European, it's not related to any of the other languages from that family, but also not to any other language. But it got me thinking, and I decided to just check chat, just ask questions. So I came here, my best friend ChatGPT, and this is what I got. And apparently, they're much more similar than knowing vocab, obviously, but there are some similarities that's making learning Japanese easier for me. Obviously, having learned languages over and over again and knowing lots of different languages helps, even if none of those languages are related to Japanese. Uh, when you've learned when you've learned languages from several different families, like Germanic languages, Romance languages, I know Slavic languages, and so on. Like learning something completely different is less hard because you're used to different ways of doing things. But I realized there are some similarities, and let's take a look. Because okay, language isolation. There are no apparently there are no yeah there are no languages similar to Japanese apparently, or that similar. But this is the interesting part. I'm not big into subject, object, all the grammar stuff, but um, I go home. I go home is nie Chiranoa. I home go in my language, and turns out it's the same order in Japanese. Is this a huge advantage? Instead of I go home, it's a home go, and that for every single kind of I don't know if every single kind of sentence, but tends to be like this. Is it a huge advantage? Maybe not, but it does probably does help. People would When I started, people were telling me about how weird and difficult it is and how weird everything is. And for me, everything just okay, that's the way you say it, and that's it. I don't have to. Oh, that's crazy. They do it in a different. No, it's just my native language is like that. Um, yeah, nothing crazy about it. So yeah, I've got an advantage there. I guess I've been cheating without even knowing I was cheating. And then there's this as well, suffixes. Basque has Russian, and Slavic languages do this as well. But Basque, my native language, is infamous for the amount of conjugations and suffixes. Not only the verbs, but like echea is the house, and then echean is in the house, and echera is to the house or going towards the house. No, towards would be another one, cheraka, and then chetik is from the house. There's lots and lots and lots of those suffixes. You just with one word you make lots of different words too, right? Depending on basically there are no prepositions. The preposition is what you add in the end, which makes the language very weird for people who come from Spanish or English. Um, but then apparently Japanese does something like that as well. Still, I haven't paid much attention to grammar. People keep telling me you should study the grammar. No, no, no. I'll learn it in context with the. And don't worry, we'll get there. I'll talk about uh, the materials and all that. And I've got some interesting news for you. We'll talk about it later. But yeah, I haven't looked grammar at all. I haven't looked it up. I don't know how things work. I'm starting to recognize patterns, kind of understand how it works. Now I can recognize negatives, for example, or different pronouns. Um, yes, I know you don't use pronouns in Japan. You don't use pronouns in my native language either, right? But I know that it's good to start using the pronouns at first so that you learn the pronouns, because otherwise you don't know the pronouns. Uh, we'll work on something more like a native speaker later on. Yeah. First, let's learn everything, learn all the vocab. But okay, yeah. Echera, Cheraka, Echean, Echetik, Echeko. Basque has all those. Same for Japanese, apparently, or similar. Masu, Desu, Mas, this. Yeah, that you in the end, you don't do much with it. This, I'm still working on that pronunciation. Post positions. Yeah, so like you finish you change the endings. Kind of, not exactly the same, but in a similar way. So again, that for an English speaker would be weird. For me, it was like, okay, that's the way it is. No, no big deal. Just we'll do it like that. This part, I honestly hate this kind of like agativity. Who invented these terms? So Basque uses an ergative absolutive system. Just well, the subject. Yeah, just use examples. Otherwise, this is just it's all Greek to me. But anyway, um, yeah, there are. This part doesn't really matter much. Pure geographic isolation and blah blah blah. But then I ask more questions. Okay, the word order. Here we get a bunch of them. I eat an apple. Niks agarra hatendot. Well, that's okay. I apple eat. Watashi wa ringo wa tabemasu. So this is eat. So it's I apple eat, and this is I apple eat as well in Japanese. Instead of I eat an apple. She reads a book. Hark liburu irakurtzen du. That looks weird. It's not incorrect, it looks weird. But yeah, he, she, book, reads. She, book, reads. Okay. It's it's yeah, it's interesting that they have this similarity. Um, some of these translations are not good into Basque, but it's a language spoken by 500,000 people. So and it's a minority language even here. Most people speak Spanish only, or very little Basque. So um, eventually, I'll get a free course. I'll launch a free course so people learn faster. But I should probably do that. Um, contribute to my community. But anyway, yeah, it's translations, AI. It's never as good for smaller languages. Japanese is a big language. Spanish is a big language. Russian, French. Those translation tends to be way better. I worked for some of the stuff that Google Translate does for Basque. I worked doing that, training the was a lot of work and they paid really well. But that was an entire summer of my life where I just translated for Google, like 12-hour days every day, 7 days a week. It was horrible. It paid well. It was horrible. I wouldn't do that again, even for more money. No, but yeah, there's much less content for the AI or the software to learn from with smaller languages, so it tends to be less accurate. Anyway, let's stop talking about Basque. Let's focus on Japanese. So, what have I done? More listening, repeating, shadowing. Not that much, not as much as I wanted to. But the good news is that tomorrow is the weekend and I'm gonna have a lot of free time. So I'll do a session live or either a longer session that kind of live where I learn, I show the whole thing, I do lots of listening and repeating, and record it, so then you can, yeah, either do it with me or you can use it later. Speaking of which, the 2000 sentences for the verbs. Audios are up, you can download them, and you can start listening to them while learning the sentences. I recommend you memorize the vocab fast. I'm going to spend this weekend just learning the whole list, memorize all the vocab, 2000 words, verbs, and then all the sentences. Binge listen to them, lots and lots of shadowing. For now, I uploaded a list with audio files with the 2000 sentences, so it's one after another, the whole list. It's a couple hours of audio. But then I'll upload another one with each sentence 5 times, right? So that you can shadow it properly. If you do some shadowing with that every day, you learn all the verbs fast. And now I'm working on the 20,000 list. Basically, every verb, every conjugation, massive amounts of vocab included there, organized by word family. That will be ready next week. And once I recommend you learn the 2000 word list first and then jump to the 20,000 one because it's going to be easier. So otherwise, it's a lot of info. And I highly recommend you learn those lists really, really well by memorizing with associations, doing loads of listening and reading while listening and checking the meaning, and shadowing, lots of shadowing, actually saying it aloud. You noticed yesterday my speaking, it's not good, but it's for a week, it's not terrible, right? It's actually pretty good. Um, it's because I do a lot of shadowing, just listening and repeating over and over and over again, loads of sentences every day, thousands sometimes. The goal is to get to over 100,000 reps of shadowing and listening and repeating. That's a lot, but you can't get good at speaking if you don't speak a lot. So what I recommend you do is use those sentence lists and start just shadowing. Um, the other thing I recommend you do is retrieval practice. Either download the lists as a CSV file and create flashcards and then translate always from English into Japanese aloud. So you get the sentence and you write a letter and you're like, "Anata wa tegami wa kakimasu." Anata wa tegami wa kakimasu, I guess. Without listening to it, it's much harder to do properly. But you try to say it, and then you get the answer. And you do that over and over, and you find where you're making the mistakes. That's also a good way to train yourself to think in the language. So he watches television. He watches a telly. How do I say that in Japanese? And you think, and you try to say it. Maybe you can't say anything because you don't know enough words. You check. This is slower, so I recommend you memorize the vocab and you do the shadowing first for a while, and then once you know it pretty well, then you try the retrieval practice. But that's it. This is the update. I didn't do much today. I mean, okay. I don't know, an hour. It's not a lot, but it's not as much as I'd like to. But tomorrow and Sunday, it's going to be a lot of hard work. I'm going to work really hard on this. Massive amounts of shadowing, and next week it's going to be a longer video speaking Japanese. Anyway, any questions you've got, let me know in the comments. Some of you were struggling to find the materials. Just sign up, go to the free NLL course, and there's a big thing that says materials there, and go there, and there's one that says specifically Japanese, and you go there and you open that. It's not that hard, right? And that's it, right? Anyway, cheers. See you later.